Basically, I'm going to talk about periods of successful premium IOL. As you know, cataract now becomes more of a refractive surgery, and multifocal introduced it in 1997. That's where the first one we had multifocal lens array. And the key for primary IOL cataract is the careful patient selection, understand patient motivation. You need to have excellent surgery, and you have to choose the right implant, which is very crucial also. Premium IOL, what's premium IOL? Usually we refer to premium IOL, where's the lens we put it that can improve distance and improve some vision like near or intermediate vision. That's what referred to premium IOL. And usually it could be a lens which they have multi-focus, 2 or more, what you call multifocal implant. It can be diffractive, refractive, or extended depth of focus. It could be a lens which you put it, but the lens, it could move inside the eyes, what we call accommodative lens. The other option, what you call small aperture, which is like pinhole lens. That's also sort of a premium IOL. Light adjustment lens, which you put the lens and you could adjust it refractively to adjust the refraction of that lens. That's a premium, but it's not accommodative. So it's a different lens. There's not available multifocal yet. I think the future IOL, where we put the lens, which can be variable in position and dimension, what you call dual optic or lens refill, which is that, I think, our future premium IOL. Regarding, nowadays, we use a premium IOL mainly for cataract, but also you could using for as refractive lens exchange, where patient after age of 40, or usually after 50 really, or 55, where you change the lens to give him distant and near. Factor for success, multifocal implant. Patient selection and education, that's very important. But also you need to have a work team, like your nurse, biometry, theater, all is a team. You have to have a good team supporting you to have successful multifocal implant surgery. Biometry is very crucial. You need to have very good biometry. You need to have like a mask or something. You cannot use just ultrasound and use a premium IOL because that predictability of the implant is not as good, and you may not have a success with multifocal implant. Astigmatism control is very important. So always at the beginning, really, even any cataract you had now, you need to think about astigmatism, how to improve the astigmatism, because that's a step you need to master it before you go to the premium IOL. So you have to know your incision, how much you use astigmatism. You need to think about toric implant, multifocal alignment. All this is very crucial. Meticulous surgery. You cannot do multifocal implant unless you are very precise about phaco. Everything you need to master that one. And the step introduction, you cannot jump straight away, so you have to still do step by step and always go by one lens, master lens, and then you go. You don't open too many areas, so you need to do step introduction. But however, if the patient selection is not right, neither of other factors will create a happy patient. So the patient selection, really, that's the most important things you need to understand. Who is the good candidate for multifocal implant? You should have a motivated patient who wants freedom of glasses. And the easygoing personality. You should have a healthy eye with low degree of astigmatism. Hyperopic in general, they're very good because you don't see clear distance and near, especially the one who hyperopic doesn't wear glasses much. They are the best patient to start with multifocal surgery. Always, when you do both eyes, that's the patient is much happier. If someone had one cataract only, other eye not, if you do one eye multifocal, they may not be happy patients. So always the patient who had both eyes very close to each other, they tend to adapt it better to the multifocal. And always a patient needs to accept that you may need some top-up like glasses or refractive surgery. Who is the poor candidate which you should avoid it to start with? Hypercritical personality and unrealistic expectation, that's the top of your list. Sometimes you don't know them until you come after surgery, okay? And that's the very tricky, sometimes you may miss them. People who are driving a lot at night, driving taxi, because all multifocal, they have some night vision symptom, so they're not good. Low myope in general, they're demanding, they have very good vision for near, so always they're not the easiest patient, so you leave them until you become more expert with the multifocal. Any comorbidity which affect the visual acuity or contrast sensitivity, diabetes, age-related, glaucoma, all they're not good one to do. Ocular surface, if it's uncontrolled dry eye, people had corneal disease with irregular surface. Patients with the previous laser surgery, they're a very tricky group. So because the predictability of the blood is not as good, patient, they have already compromised visual quality, and that multifocal may have more symptom. And so they are a very selective group. You need to be careful about this patient. The other things, which is patient who had many questions, they come to you, they have too many questions. Really, they are very not easy patient, this one, because the expectation is high. That's why they have too many questions. And people who come with 2, 3, or 4 glasses, this is for computer, this is for the near, this is for at night, this is in the morning. So this is patient also very critical patient. Try to avoid them. With time, you feel that you understand the patient, and you will know which patient personality is very difficult, and try to avoid it and send it to your close friend or something who's better than you for that one. It's not because it's better, but at least you get rid of it. But choose the best IOL for the patient. That's very important, to sit with the patient, understand him, occupation, hobbies, activity, people using a questionnaire to know. But I think sit with the patient, that's most crucial. The longer you sit, and you need to understand them. You need to tell them that if they can tolerate halo, they accept it or not, and what the reading distant. What influences choosing the multifocal? Really, availability is very important. There's a toric option also, because if it's astigmatic, it's better to use a toric one. The lens should give a good quality of vision, distant, near, intermediate. They should have low night vision problem. Better to have a square edge implant to reduce the posterior capsular technique, because that will affect the quality of vision more. And the lens should be a good, easy to center the surgery, and also stable long term. In general, nowadays we use a lot of trifocal, because that gives you what the patient, really no patient I found that he want distant and near. They want everything. So trifocal is very good, and if you had astigmatism, better to go for multifocal toric. Advantage of multifocal, it gives a freedom of glasses to the majority of the patient. However, as I mentioned, night vision everyone had some sort of night vision, but with the new lenses, it's acceptable in the patient. Especially if you tell the patient before surgery that will have some night vision, they accept it better than if you don't tell them, they become more a headache. Contrast sensitivity is slightly reduced. You need to have 0 prescription, so you need to have very precise, because emmetropia will affect the vision result and happiness. Good centration, as we mentioned, and you need to exclude only pre-existent ocular disease which affecting the result. BCO, you need to do very meticulous about cleaning when you do the surgery, the capsule polishing, and the last disadvantage really is the cost of the procedure, the cost of the lens itself. When you assess the patient, pupil, you need to check, make sure that the pupil is centered. Better to have more than 3 millimeter, less than 6.5 millimeter. Make sure there's no weak zonules. Make sure that you don't miss that this patient had refractive surgery before. Biometry is very important. Ocular dominant, better do the non-dominant eye first, then dominant the second, and make sure there's no amblyopia. Patient doesn't wear prism. So for example, someone wearing prism in the glasses, if we do multifocal, still we need glasses for the prism part. So you need to be careful not to miss this patient. Corneal topography is mandatory for every patient to check the regularity of the surface, but also important that this patient, I can do laser top-up if I need it. So it's very important to do it for every patient. The same things for ocular surface, because that if you had dry eye, it can affect the key reading, so the biometry will not be accurate. Also, the patient quality of vision and symptom, it can affect it if you had dry eye, not control it. Retina, I'm sure you examined retina, dilated pupil. OCT is very helpful. You could miss threatening disease in the macula, which shouldn't have multifocal, retinal break, and make sure that it's safe to do the procedure. You need to discuss about alternative, about glasses, monovision, manage expectation. Never guarantee 20/20 vision, and also aim at that I will give you much freedom for after surgery, but you still need the glasses, and always confirm that with writing to the patient, because that will help you if he's not happy. Conclusion, good patient consultation, chair time is very important. Avoid poor candidate for multifocal implants, especially when you start. It's very important to avoid this candidate. Tell all the patient that you may need the glasses and some sort of vision aid for some task, or may need further surgery, usually in form of refractive laser surgery. Important to discuss night vision problem, because if you mentioned before, patient accepted better, and most of the new IOL implants it's adapted much better than the old version. So most of the new ones, especially trifocal, most of them better tolerated than before. And the risk of reduced contrast sensitivity that the patient should be aware. By the way, here it's biology, you shouldn't have multifocal implant. Again, this is the rule. So make sure you don't pilot multifocal, otherwise you have to remove it, otherwise you cannot fly. Always under promise and over deliver. You need to achieve emmetropia, so it's very important to correct all refractive error, no astigmatism, good centration. Choose the right implant. Nowadays, really, it's easy, I found it. Use trifocal for everyone and aim it for 0 prescription. Before, they using mix and match, one distant, one intermediate, one distant near. It's all confusing, but nowadays, it's good. We are lucky we have trifocal, which will correct all the range. Just you need to have precise 0 prescription at the end. Excellent distance is very important, more than the near, and you always need to have clear plan if the patient not happy. Really unhappy, usually because of refractive error, and that's we need to have access to do laser top-up or IOL exchange and piggyback. And really, it's better to have a plan who pay for that, because the patient may be happy to do laser, but it's not happy to do the surgery because it's another cost. So it's nice to have a plan for that, okay? And thank you very much.